another concept. Another using people is if you do. I'm gonna talk about myself. If I do something and they don't like what I did, they'll go and get somebody else to confront me. So that's a form of using. Now, biblically, you're supposed to use people for God's glory. God uses us for His glory. He don't use us to how can I say it? Should I say He don't use us to get back at people, because He can do that Himself. But if a person has a nasty heart and a bad disposition, or a bad, not even a disposition, no, bad heart, and bad intentions, God will use them. He would allow, I ain't gonna say use because He don't do no evil. He would allow the enemy to use them for whatever.
It's 12 o'clock.
For whatever reason he wants to get his point across. For instance, Pharaoh. He allowed the enemy to use Pharaoh. He hardened, and even saying the word that he hardened his heart. Why? Because God had to get through to the children of Israel so that they will put their faith and trust in Moses, because Moses had his faith and trust in God. So as long as Moses was unable to prove who God was, they gave Moses issues. But as soon as God stepped in and started all of this and all of that, then okay, Moses must be following God. Okay, so who else? Job. God allowed the enemy to come in. Now that was the enemy right off the bat. See, the sicknesses that you get from the enemy. Okay. But it's all based on God allowing it to take place. So the sicknesses that came upon Job was straight from the enemy. But the stupidity that his people was saying to him, including his wife, that was the enemy using her. But God allowed all of that. So God allowed the enemy to use people so that His point can come out and His glory can be fulfilled. So now let's go back to reality in our society. You go and say, oh, let's do this. I think we should do this. This is what should be done. Okay. Now, they may agree with you, but they're not going to allow you to do it. So they're going to go and they're going to get somebody else to do it. So now that person that they getting to do, they ain't thinking nothing. I'm going to give that person the benefit of the doubt. The person don't know what's going on. The person ain't got nothing against you. The person ain't got nothing against me. They don't know that I went to the bishop or the pastor and asked, can I do this, can I do that? But the pastor and the bishop know. You see what I'm saying? So that's intentions to do wrong, and that's a sin. Okay? So now, they know this. They know that I want to do this. They know that you want to do this. So they go and get lawyers to do it. Or they go to get this person to do it. That is a form of using for their glory. And sometimes they use people to want to get back. Just came to me. God is using not God, loose here, the devil as well. I'm not going to say the devil. We'll see. Because if the Lord tell me to go, I'm going to go. Other than that, I'm not going to that revival, because I feel like we should have had a revival. How you go running a revival in somebody else's church? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember Bishop ever running a revival in somebody else's church. They never used Bishop to run no revival. Bishop ran a revival in our church. I'm going to be honest with you. Bishop ain't never ran no revival. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he ran it when I was ran out the church, when I wasn't in the church no more. But anyway, he is using another church to go run a revival at that church. Why? Because an evangelist as well as myself told him that we need a revival. So you gonna run a revival in somebody else's church and get your people to go to that church because you want to see what your people gonna do in that church, and if they do something and the Lord touch them or something, now you gonna run one in our church. You want to see a results first. But if God say run a revival, God told Moses to tell the people to put the blood on the board on the doorpost. They didn't ask them why. Well, you know what? Let me go over here to Sodom first, and let me go tell them first, and let's see if it work over there. If it work over there, then I'm gonna come back and tell them. No. God said run the revival in house of prayer. House of prayer needs to be revived. It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else's churches. We can't get to heaven due to the fact of other churches. Just because you're running a revival over there, you want people to come over there. He could not emphasize, I want everybody to know. He can't do that because he couldn't do that because of the fact it was another church. And you know you wrong. And then you want to come behind it and say, yeah, we're gonna run one in our church too. We're going to have one in our church. I want to call Oldham so bad. And that's a form of using. You're using True Light to get a house of prayer. You're using True Light so that True Light will come to you when you run your revival. He had to go and run it somewhere. Why he ain't run it at St. Paul's? Why he ain't run it at St. James? What's another church? Why he ain't run it at Bible Way? These are our sister churches. We don't know nothing about no True Light. We don't fellowship with no True Light. That's why I feel like it came from this particular person. Well, all right, we'll have it over. And who's to say she ain't go over there? Who's to say she ain't go talk to that pastor or that whoever it was? Who is to say she didn't go over there and do that and open up the door? And so now, okay, so all right, tell your bishop he can come over here and run. Unless the Lord tell me to go. What he say? Unless the Lord build a house, your labor's in vain. So unless the Lord initiated that revival to be over at that other church, I don't remember. Let me put it that way. I don't remember Bishop Mingo running a revival in somebody else's church. She either ran it in House of Prayer, or we went down to South Carolina and ran it there. I don't recall going to no other church. We had our own revivals in our church. And I recall Bishop having our revivals in our church, and our Pastor Wallace from Zion, because we got a church in South Carolina. Our Pastor Wallace, he's deceased today, but he will come over to us and run that revival. And the people be just as dead. The people ain't got no life in them. And he preaching the word, and what they did, they stopped them from coming. That's what I heard. I noticed that he wasn't coming no more. I didn't know what was going on. Come to find out, they want to talk over here and talk over here. And come to find out, when I open up my mouth and say, who y'all talking about? Pastor Wallace. What? He just come. I said, so y'all stop Pastor Wallace from coming? Yeah. Because he wasn't preaching. He ain't got no life. Hey, it ain't all about no life. I told him it's not about no life. It's about preaching the word. He preached the word. And that's it. He ain't no fiery preacher. He never was a fiery preacher. He ain't got no fire. Well, no, y'all ain't got the fire. He had the fire in him. Because the Holy Ghost brings about power and fire. Now, if you ain't feeling the fire behind him preaching, then something wrong with your Holy Ghost. It ain't nothing wrong with his. That's why I say people is manipulated. That's the Jezebel spirit of controlling, spirit of manipulation, witchcraft. Lord have mercy. Lord, should I call Odom? Should I call him? Should I call her? You tell me. If it's for me to tell her, Lord, then have her call me. because I know her. She quick to say, "Oh, you got some attitude and you calling me." I ain't got no attitude. You think I got attitude? What is the name? You think I got attitude? I ain't got no attitude. That's on you. So I'm just not gonna really say too much because I ain't gonna even tell her nothing. Cause I know she wanna know about it. I done said what I had to say about the revival. I said, what? I said, we supposed to be having a revival in our church. How you going to have a revival in somebody else's? And I guess she thought I was gonna back up because it was her church and she came. I don't care who church it is. And I told her, I said, it's not even all about the church. Don't get me wrong. It's not even all about the church or where he having it at. My point that I'm trying to bring out is that if you feel like you need to run a revival, then you need to run it in our church. And she said, well, no, the pastor doing this and the pastor said this and the pastor asked him. I don't care. Who asked him? I'm not going to even say I don't care if God asked him because God is only going to ask him to do things that's right. So I don't care who asked me what. You think I'm going to have respect because there was another pastor? No. Bishop is supposed to know better. He's supposed to be following God. It ain't supposed to be about the money because I'm sure he's going to get paid running that revival for that week. It ain't all about the money. See, you're stuck up on money. So now you're going to go because somebody asked you to run a revival. You could easily say, no, not this time. We about to have one. We about to run one. And I'm preparing myself and getting my people ready for this revival. The Lord will tell you what to say. But if you got to straight up say no, then you just say no. Lady for hurting people's feelings. This lady ain't never called Bishop to do nothing. Now all of a sudden you want to be all with Bishop? There's a reason for everything. The reason going to come out. Yes, it is. It is definitely going to come out. Just wait for it. It's coming. Let's wait for it. I'm going to come right back here and I'm going to let you know this is July the 26th at 12:11 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. Remember, I said that because it's coming. The truth of the matter is going to come out. And I think part of it is money. Get out of here. Oh, they didn't update my thing. Shoot. He said I'm going to see it. He said it'd take a while, but I'll see it. Yep, so, I don't think that was nice. They always want to be taking us and pulling us into other people's stuff. You lead your own people. How you gonna go preach a revival in somebody else? And see,